if Melly was in the car when they had this drive-by, he 9 times out of 10 would have got hit, according to the bullet trajectory coming from the outside of the car. The bullets would have came in, possibly hitting him. And also another thing, like I was saying, they found Bortlen inside the car. And if they found Bortlen inside the car, there was no outside drive-by shooting. Because if it was a drive-by shooting, then you would have never found the Bortlen. Because like I said before, the Bortlen is like gunpowder residue, but it doesn't have the energy to exert and spread out the way gunpowder residue would. So it's kind of like a very less density of a substance that comes out of the gun after the gun is fired and kind of falls wherever the gun was fired at. So if the gun was fired outside the car, the Bortlen 9 times out of 10 would have been able to even be confiscated, because it would be just spread all out within the environment of wherever they were. So we know Bortlen was driving, we know Melly was in the back seat, and we know we had the other 2 boys as passengers on the passenger side. So we know that, but it's cold hard and important evidence because that's where they were found dead at. So it wasn't no seat switching or swapping or nothing like that going on. So we look at this reconstruction expert when they bring him to the stand and they come out with this demonstrative exhibit. So they do these different reenactments of all the different possibilities that they think were possible during the shooting, right? So when they show you the camera view, and it's a really good point of view because it's showing you from being in position of the back seat of where Melly was sitting at, that the guy sitting right here is showing that he took a gunshot wound. His initial gunshot wound came from the back of his head, which came out the front of the skull and out the window. And it's showing you the gun trajectory of where it possibly could have been positioned. They don't really know how close it was or which way it was pointed or nothing like that, but they do know that the bullet went through his head, through the back of his head, and came out the front of his skull, which is lining up with the trajectory of the person sitting in the back seat on the back driver's side, right? And not only that, they got the bullet trajectory coming from the side of the person in the back driver's side, hitting the person that's sitting in the back passenger side over here. It was a very, very awkward type of shooting, you can tell, and it was very, very close, according to the blood splatter. And the blood splatter from the person that was sitting in the front passenger, that residue and that matter, it went up on the roof and fell down in the back headrest of the back seat. And not to mention, well, let me mention, because he mentioned it, they sprayed that stuff on the seat where you seen it, and it showed the blood splatter pattern of everything that was there. Even though it has been clean, it showed that pattern. And you can see the pattern of the blood from the person that got hit in the back of the head that was sitting in the driver's side, front driver's seat. You can see the blood splatter matter from the side down and on the back of the seat. So you can tell that somebody shot him from the back of the head, from the back seat. And it was showing also that possibly the person sitting in the back seat over here, when this person got shot, he threw his hands up, kind of like in like, whoa, like what's happening, you know, he's surprised. And supposedly they've figured out through medical examination that the person sitting in the front as well, he wasn't aware that he was finna be shot. So it happened sporadic. And take a look at this. With the evidence when he sprayed it all on the back seat of the blood splatter, you can see blood splattered everywhere on this side of the seat. It was everywhere back there. But on Melly's side, there was no blood splatter, hardly ever any. All the way even to the crease of the seat in the back seat. So that indicates that somebody was sitting right there in that back seat when this person fired these guns. And there was 3 gunshots reported. Well, not even reported, but it's 3 gunshots according to trajectory and everything that happened in the inside of the car. And the other 4 happened, well, the other 7 happened outside of the car. And what's really crazy is that they're able to determine that these 2 guys died after the 7 shots from the outside of the car. Now the back glass was shot out as well, and they're showing that that bullet trajectory was shot by someone that was standing stationary, standing still. So there wasn't somebody that shot the back glass out that was during the drive-by. So also them 7 shots on the outside of the door on the passenger side, all of those shots but one are shots indicating that there were an actual drive-by. There's only one shot that's indicating that. And so when you shooting at somebody and there's actual movement with you shooting, it's gonna put a spin on that bullet. So when it goes into an object or whatever is hidden, especially an object, I'm not sure about a body, but when it go in, it's gonna leave the bullet hole of it looking like kind of like it was screwed in almost. It looked like a keyhole. So they call them keyhole gunshots. So that's how they can determine that those gunshots on the outside of the car weren't from a drive-by. Now that one keyhole shot he did make, he was probably moving while he shot it when he did it, whoever it was. And I think it was Bortlen who did it. But when you look at those bullets from the angles of where they were shot at, like, okay, let's be realistic with this. What drive-by y'all done seen that's been done on a car where they just shooting at the bottom half of the car? They coming for heads. When niggas doing drive-by shootings, especially cars, they gonna shoot the glass out, all that. You know what I'm saying? No glass broken, no none of that. All the bullets is showing is on the body of the car, on the bottom. So if it was a drive-by and they got hit from these bullets coming from the outside of the car, the trajectory of the bullets would have shown them getting hit in the legs, not the head, not the back of the head, because the person that's sitting in the driver's seat right there, that person, if he would have got hit from the bullets coming from the outside, he would have got hit in the leg, and he probably would have still been alive. The person sitting in the passenger seat and in the back seat would have got hit in the legs if there would have been bullets coming from the outside that would have supposedly hit them. Now the person in the front seat, their death position is like he's slumped over like this. So we know that bullets coming from the bottom body of the car would have left him slumped over like that. Now the question arises, is it possible that there could have been 2 different shooters? No. How were they able to determine that there wasn't 2 different shooters? Because of time. There was no time according to when these dudes got first initially inflicted with a fatal wound, fatal gunshot, and the time versus when their heart stopped. So it happened like quick. So there was no time for it to be a different shooter or to switch guns or seats or anything like that. Because my partner was saying, he was like, well, what if Melly got out the car and they picked up somebody else and somebody else got in and did the shooting and woo. But the cell phone data don't show that. The cell phone data is showing them tracking, going everywhere. It's all the data is all going in the same movements, the same direction, the same places during the same times. So it's kind of hard to go against that. Now, if you pay attention, when the reconstruction expert, when he was giving his statement, he said that they could determine that the bodies were ante-mortem previous to the shots outside of the car. Now, ante-mortem means before death. He meant to say post-mortem because post-mortem is after death. So that's a hole in this case that the defense attorney, Jason Williams, that he gonna capitalize off of, because it's just a misinterpretation of the term you used, you know. So he gonna jump on that for sure. And another thing is, on Melly's side, as far as his defense attorney, they don't have anybody to counter the state's reconstructive expert. Melly and them need their own reconstructive expert to counter what they have came up with, because you got Jason Williams going at them, you know, countering all their evidence and stuff like that, which he could, but it'll be much better if it was from a reconstructive expert like they have of their own. So like I said before, Bortlen, his story that he gave to them, it ain't matching or adding up to nothing of what the evidence is showing. So you gonna see like I said, Jason Williams, he gonna hitch that wagon to the back of Bortlen that he did this, not my defendant. And as you seen, they had YNW Juvie, his mother got on the stand and identified Melly getting in the back passenger side of that car. That's hard. That's tough. It's tough to combat. It's tough to combat. So what I think is gonna end up happening, which I'm pretty sure is gonna happen, once Melly's defense attorney throw this blame on him, he gonna testify to save his ass. Save his ass, or him and Melly ass, or give up information stating that somebody else did this, or there was other people that was a part of it. Telling the real of the real. So it's either you gonna be solid behind your homeboy, or you gonna testify against him and throw the jacket back on him or somebody else. It's one of the two. So we'll see how everything fall out. Make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one, man.